Hey everyone, hope everybody is doing great out there. If you're watching this, I appreciate your viewership. I have with me today the Steel AD-10 Lite. I already have a video out about this. It's just a first impressions video. This video is an actual review. I used this for 1 week at work, and I've used it since then multiple times, but I took it to work for 1 week, and what I did was I tried to get as much footage as I could of me using this knife, doing actual work, not just doing things at a table, actually in the field. The materials I cut varied from cardboard to fiberglass insulation to tape to string. So those are pretty much the materials that this was used to cut. And so yeah, I actually made a review, and there's not much footage. I was very busy, so I didn't get to record every single time I used it, but I did my best to try to get at least a couple of times of me using this at work. And like I said, I did an actual review, and I made a small little list of pros and cons. I hope it'll be helpful to anybody out there who's looking to buy this knife and use it for work. So without further ado, I'll throw that footage in and come back afterwards with a little rundown of the pros and cons in my opinion, of this knife. So here we go. Okay, so that was that. There was a couple of more times, maybe about 4 or 5 other times where it was impossible for me to record myself using it, and I did use it for a couple of seconds at a time. It was just impossible. Not impossible, but it's kind of hard when you're by yourself to record yourself doing stuff, and I only had somebody helping me one of those days. But anyway, yeah, so I try to get as much as I could of me using this thing for actual work purposes and not just, tabletop stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know everybody does their own thing differently. I just figured it might be a little bit more useful if I actually show you show you this knife being used at work and not just sitting here, cutting small pieces of cardboard or whatever. Like the pieces of cardboard I cut are usually like several feet long. So I made a list, a little pros and cons list, and let's see. Let's start with the cons. Okay, and I don't want to say cons, but just maybe things that you might need to readjust, or things that might push you in a certain direction of whether or not you want to get a knife with the 3.5-inch blade. And this blade is 3.5 inches long. So the first one is it's a shorter blade than I'm used to using. I'm used to using at least a Voyager at work. I don't have a Voyager right here, but I have this XL Recon, my awesome new XL Recon. This is a 5.5-inch blade. I usually have a 5.5-inch blade at work. And when you're cutting long pieces of cardboard, sometimes you kind of get used to using the whole entire length of the blade. I did have to readjust just a little bit, slicing. I kept on, like at the very end, I'd kind of pull out a little quicker than the piece that I was cutting was long, so I'd have to, I'm tripping over my words here, but basically if you're used to using a 5.5-inch blade with the long ass handle, using something, 3.5 inches, it just takes a little bit of adjusting to get used to. Not that big of a deal. I'm sure most people only carry a 3.5 or 3-inch blade. Not many people carry a big, huge blade, but if you carry something like this, and you have to go down to something like this, it's just a slight adjustment. Not that bad, but yeah, you can definitely tell that you're not carrying a 5.5-inch blade. So the other thing, another point, a con. This choil, the edge of that, just like the second or third time I used it, I nicked myself right there. It's just a little bit small. So I would consider that a slight con, because this little edge right here, it digs into your finger right there. And I think I have pretty skinny fingers, and it's still, I can feel it right there. So that's just a little not so great thing. It's not going to stop me from using this knife or anything. It's just going to stop me from really putting a lot of pressure here when you want to choke up, and some people do like to use their knives right there, so that might not be the greatest thing. So that's another thing. Okay, so a third point, con or whatever. The geometry of this blade is really, it's pretty good for a thick blade. I forgot how many millimeters this is, but as awesome as this hollow grind is, it's still kind of thick. And for instance, my Voyager clip point, way thinner. It just glides through cardboard. This one was gliding through cardboard, but you got to put a little bit more pressure, because it does get, it goes from this to that. So in that regard, it's maybe not the sliciest of slicey blades. And of course, it's like, well, yeah, it's a thick ass blade. Yeah, we know that, but that doesn't mean that it can't be a good slicer. It has a hollow grind. So it's good, but not great at being slicey. So those are, I would say, the cons. Really, I had to kind of like really dig for those, because it feels really great. Other than those three points I made, it's not a deal breaker. So the pros, first point, it's very, very comfortable. I understand this is not G10. I think it's Grivex. I don't even know. I forgot what's on the box, but it's very, very comfortable. I don't get tired of holding this knife. I want to hold it more and more. So it's a very good point. You're not going to get tired of holding this. Maybe if you're some kind of wimp or something. No, I'm just playing. So, yeah, these scales are very, very comfortable. The blade itself is very thick, very strong. That ain't going to go anywhere. So that in itself is another good point. Nice thick blade. That thing's going to take a long time before it wears down if you're sharpening it over and over. So another point is that this is a very well built knife. There's no wiggle side to side or up and down. None at all. 100% solid. Let's see here. If I put a lot of pressure going back and forth, you almost feel a little bit of wiggle, but nobody's gonna do that. Okay. Fourth point, this pocket clip is very secure. Stop whining, all you whiners. The pocket clip's too tight. Well, just put a penny or a dime underneath it for a couple of weeks. That's what I do with my other ones. They work fine. Yes, they tear it up a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. I would rather have a tight-ass pocket clip and know that my knife is secure than have some pocket clip that's going to be slightly more convenient, yet it's going to fall out of my pocket if I'm lying sideways and I turn sideways. Or, if I'm in a funny position, if the pocket clip is not like super secure and snug, it's going to make me think about that, and I'm going to be distracted, and I don't want to have to think about this thing falling out of my pocket. So the pocket clip is awesome. I like it. I like all of Cold Steel pocket clips. I don't know what everybody complains about. So, okay, those are okay, those are the pros and cons I guess I could find. And the edge retention, that's going to be its own kind of category. The edge retention, it's AUS 10A. So it's not, it's not some spectacular super steel. It's not going to last a long time if you're using this for heavy duty stuff. And like I said, I was using this on large pieces of cardboard and fiberglass insulation. Yes, those things are abrasive. They wear edges down fast. That was the point. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to use this thing on abrasive materials to see, hey, am I going to have to be sharpening this or stropping it like every single day? The answer is no, I would not have to be stropping this every single day. The edge retention was decent. I know that's just like an unscientific, that's just my opinion, but after 1 week of using this knife on different abrasive materials like cardboard, fiberglass insulation, I would say that the edge retention on this knife, 1 out of 10, my own personal scale, I'd say it's about a 7. Very easy to sharpen, and we know what that means. It's easy to get dull, but it lasted a whole week, and I did not have to sharpen or strop it until the following week, which I did a little bit, but not too much. I kind of wanted to push it a little further. So on my own personal scale of 1 to 10, the edge retention gets a 7. So yeah, that's my review of the AD-10, the Cold Steel AD-10 Lite. I'd say it's a perfectly fine work knife. I used it multiple times after that week I tested it out. I have been using other knives, but it's gonna find its way back into rotation for work for sure. It's very comfortable, easy to sharpen. This Tonto tip comes in so handy in various applications. And if it comes down to it, and the stuff goes down, you got yourself a good self-defense blade. definitely larger than most people's pocket knives. And if you're not carrying a large Voyager or something like this in a self-defense situation, this will work in a pinch. I would definitely feel a little bit confident using it. Well, I don't know about confident, but yes, I would use this in a self-defense situation, along with it being a great work knife. And it is a great work knife, definitely. So that is my official review of the Cold Steel AD-10 Lite. Hope you enjoyed it. That footage was kind of sucky. It wasn't as good as I thought, but it is what it is. So if I could help anybody make a decision about buying this knife, hey, that was worth something. And I thought I would just try to contribute. Alright, well, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. See y'all later. See you next time.